explaining the mitzvah of Sukkah. First he says in Chelik Rabi in Perek Zayin, he says when you say that we have to know a cloud in regard to Yom Tovim, he says every Yom Tov, when it comes that the period of time when we had Cherus, when we had Matan Torah, he says Kol Tikun Sheniskan V'Oir Godol She'Eir B'Zman Mi'Azmanim, any Tikun, any Oir that was in a certain period of time, B'Shuv Tkufat Hazman Ahu, when that time comes back, Yoir Aleinu Oir Me'ein Ha'Oir Harishon, comes back that Oir, just like the first Oir, just like the Zman of Cherus that we had in the Zman of Shas Yitzias Mitzrayim, Cherus, the Oir of Cherus comes back. Whatever that means, whatever the Oir means, but there's an Oir, there's a Ruchniistic Oir that comes back, that we could connect to, which comes back on Pesach. Shavuos, Matan Torah. What's Sukkos? What's the Oir that comes back on Sukkos? Dr. Amchal, and Boyer Tikazach. Perek Ches and Derech Hashem, Dr. Azov. Inin HaSukkah v'Halulavhu. The idea of Sukkah is, Ki hinei ananei hakovoid shehikif HaKadosh Baruch Hu et Yisrael. The anani hakovoid that surrounded, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu surrounded with Klal Yisrael. Milvad to'altam begashmius. Besides for the te'elos they had physically, that they shielded Klal Yisrael from outside things, the scorpions in the midbar and the snakes in the midbar. That's a physical thing. And the chitzim, the arrows that the other nations threw at them, the anani hakovoid protected them. That was a gashmius. That's a physical protection. Dr. Amchal Pulei Pulei. Oid hoiso toilodo v'doilo noiledes mehem v'darkei ruchnius. The Anani HaKavod was also a spiritual thing that uplifted Klal Yisrael, elevated Klal Yisrael. Dr. Azoy, for who? K'moisha al yidei ha'anonim oheim. Just like through those clouds, hoyu nimtzoyim Yisrael muvdolim levado. Klal Yisrael was picked up, they were separated, unisuyim in ha'aretz. We're on top of clouds. We understand that we think about it, we're walking in clouds, we think there was clouds surrounding us. There were clouds underneath too. We were walking on clouds. Klal Yisrael was picked up, elevated from the ground, literally. And we're walking on clouds, going through the midbar. The suim in ha'aretz picked up from the ground. Kain hoysa nimsheches lehem mitzius ha'oreh hamashkenes b'isam levad. Doctor, he says there was a ruchniistika, shielding a ruchniistika hagana that we had. Nivdolim mikol ha'amim, separated from all nations. Umenusoyim umenudolim min ha'olam hazeh atzmoi. We were separated from Elam hazeh. There was a spiritual separation that Klal Yisrael had with the Anani HaKavod. The Elyonim Mamish al Kol Goy Ha'aretz. We say Elyon al Kol Goy Ha'aretz. He says B'shas, at the time when we were in Anani HaKavod, we were spiritually elevated from all the nations of the world. Elyon al Kol Goy Ha'aretz. Dokter, that's the Sukkah. Every year this happens again. Dover Zeh Nasta B'shai Toy Yisrael. That happened at that time to Klal Yisrael. Lahagiyom, to bring them up. El Hamaylo Ha'elyoyin Ha'ruvi Lahem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was elevating Klal Yisrael in the midbar. Klal Yisrael was the third day. They were being elevated. We only ate man. We only drank from the Be'er. We were in Anani HaKavod. The Anani HaKavod literally, spiritually elevated Klal Yisrael above the nations of the world. We were on a different plane. Dr. Ramchal ben Imsheches Toiladet Toizois L'chol Echod MiYisrael L'Tor Doire. This happens every single year again, like we said before. Every Yom Tov is man ve'giyaz man ben azmanim, and that time comes. So then the oil that was then comes back. Dr. Amchal, this happens every single year on Sukkot. She'omnam oil kedusha nimshach melefonav yisparach umakif kol tzadik miyisrael umavdilo yikol shar b'nei ha'adam. It separates Klal Yisrael. He says kol echad miyisrael. He starts with kol echad miyisrael l'der. Every single yid in Klal Yisrael gets elevated. Doctor, when does that happen? U'mischadish dover zeh b'Yisrael b'chag ha'sukkos al yidei ha'sukkah. When we go into a sukkah, it's not just a message that this is what separates Klal Yisrael. This Diras Aroi takes us out of Elam Hazeh, shows us that the world is Avolim. It's not just a message, it's an experience. Klal Yisrael in the Sukkah gets uplifted, elevated from the nations of the world. That in the Sukkah, when we're in that Sukkah, there's a Ruchniistic Oir that we receive. If we stay in the Sukkah, we appreciate the Sukkah gives us that elevation, brings us up, and separates us from the world. And this is what I think that's Man Simchas Yom Tov. Man Simchas Yom Tov, what brings simcha to a yid is the feeling that we realize that the world is Avel Avolim. Avel Avolim, realizing that the world is nothing, is what brings the simcha. It's not because when we are b'simcha, We need something to show us, don't get too happy, knock it down a little bit. It's the other way around. It's realizing that the world is not where it's at. Realizing the world is all havolim, all havle elam hazeh, and realizing where it's at is the ruchnius. That's what brings the simcha. Being in the sukkah, which gives us that gives us that realization that this world is all havolim, it's elam hazeh, elevates us to bring us up, to show us, to give us that zman simcha sein. So Muridik is up. Two marmachimis, which is Tulei Tloim, take Lamaisa. The Ibn Ezra teaches the pasuk of the Hayisa Ach Zameach. Dr. Azam, I read you the words. If a person on Sukkos is the simcha, ki yivarechecha la'asid, it will bring bracha in the future. V'tiyeh la'olam sameach. And that's going to bring us to be the simcha even after Sukkos. That's up to Hayisa Ach Zameach. All you will have will be simcha. V'hayisa, and you will have a bracha. You'll have a bracha of only being the simcha. That's what he teaches Hayisa Ach Zameach. And here's the lashon of the Pella Yoetz. Look the Pella Yoetz. V'tzivanu l'smoyach simcha shel mitzvah. We're commanded on Sukkos to have simcha shel mitzvah. V'hu simin toiv l'chol hashon. It's a simin toiv for the whole year. Shekosvu gurei ha'arizal. Rizal from the Ari. Shemisha hu someach v'toiv leiv. V'lo yitztayer klal v'chad ha'kodesh hazeh. Someone who's happy and is not mitzar at all on the Chag of Sukkot, muftach loy shona teva, is promised, is guaranteed a good year. V'yiyah lo'olam samech. The person on Sukkot shtells zu to the simcha of Sukkot and the zman simcha seinu, he's guaranteed a year, a good year. V'yiyah lo'olam samech, a year of simcha. I thought with this we can answer one more thing. We know that Lasad Lavoi, Sukkot has a lot of big shaykhs to Lasad Lavoi, but we find that Lasad Lavoi, what's going to happen is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make a Sukkos shel Yaakov. We say at the end of Sukkot, Yiratzoi, that we should be zeicha for the Sukkos shel Yaakov. It was bothering me. Lasad Lavoi, there's no Aroi. In this world, so the idea of the Sukkah is that we leave the Diras Kavah, and we go into the Diras Aroi, into the temporary dwelling of the Sukkah. That's in this world, like we're explaining, that's leaving the Havli Olam Hazeh, and we're going into the Sukkah. But the Asad Lavoi doesn't know Aroi. Everything is, that's it. That's what we're here for. We're here for the Asad Lavoi. That's what everything's going to be Kaviyas. Everything's going to be not temporary, it's going to be permanent. The whole idea we know of Asad Lavoi is Netzach, is permanence. There shouldn't be any idea of temporary in Asad Lavoi. Going to this, the Pshat Mama is beautiful. The only reason why it's temporary, why the Sukkah is temporary in Elam Hazeh, is because we live a life of Elam Hazeh. So we got to leave the Elam Hazeh in order to bring us up, to elevate us in the Sukkah, which is out of this world, out of the Elam Hazeh world of today, bringing us up through the Sukkah. But also, love, everything is going to be, no way the Elam Hazeh is going to be garnished. Even though the Rambam says that there'll be a lot of everyone will have everything they need, but the Ramchal explains that the neshama of a person is going to be what's the power in a person. The guf is going to be mitzvah, is going to be bottled to the neshama. Everything is going to be is going to be ruchnis. So then being in the sukkah will be taka a sukkah of kva, because then we don't have to have big houses. Who's interested in big houses? Then the sukkah being out of Elam Hazeh, the kvi, that's the kva. We should be zeicha taka to be able to feel the simcha of Sukkot, the zman simcha seinu, which should bring us taka towards that, the everlasting simcha, the simcha of Kol Hashana, which is the everlasting simcha, which is the Be'ez Hashem, bring us to the ultimate simcha of the Sukkah Shel Yaakov.